My face still looks really dark. Ugh.
All right, how you doing, guys? I think we're good now. So I apologize about that and had some major technical difficulties. So if you see we're on Zoom tonight, do apologize about that. But we have Eric on the top. We got Alan on the bottom. Alan Mitchell, how you doing?
Doing good.
Glad to finally see you after a year or so of talking with each other via whatever. But glad you could come on and hang out with us for an hour or so and talk about some of your new stuff that you got going on. And I know you got some new toys, and I'm sure you'd like to show us that. I see you got. I guess you're in your roll-off roof right now.
Yeah, yeah. I'm out here. Figured it would be the best place to be for a show and tell if that's what we want to do. And through the course of the presentation, if somebody has a question, I can demo it right here.
Right.
So can't really do this in the home office.
No, absolutely, absolutely not. But I'm gonna try and I'm gonna get this.
It's kind of cool. It's like you're on location.
Yeah, even though it's 15 feet out my back door.
Exactly.
So I see it's still daylight out there. Where are you at? You're in the Midwest or
Dallas?
Dallas. Okay, Dallas.
Yeah,
right.
Just north of Dallas.
Okay.
All right. So yeah, you got some time before. Is it gonna be good tonight over there, or it's kind of rainy over here in Long Island?
It looks great right now, but it's Texas. I mean, we could have tornadoes in 20 minutes for all I know. It's crazy. Yeah, the weather here flips, especially this time of year, so fast because we're like the battleground between seasons. It's still like late winter, early spring for the Midwest, and where we are, summer's trying to move up there. So you've got the air masses fighting it out right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gotta be nice. It's kind of the same thing pretty much everywhere. I think Long Island's a mess. I know Eric, you got your
Illinois is best. Forget about it.
Yeah.
I want to make sure. Okay. We got people popping on now. Yeah, I had some major difficulties with my computer, and I don't know why. My mouse is all messed up too. I don't know what's going on. It's been a hell of a week. Like we were sitting there and all the stuff going on. My wife's been home for 5 weeks. I've been home for 4 weeks. Whatever the case may be. My wife's doing laundry. Same day, same night. The clothes dryer breaks. The air conditioner breaks. Everything's breaking in the house. I'm waiting for the whole house to come collapsing on top of me. And so now I'm getting a new clothes dryer tomorrow and a new air conditioner on Saturday. So enough of my stuff. So Jesse says hi. Mark's online. We got about 30 people watching us right now. So
Awesome.
yeah. So tell us what you got going on there, Alan. And if you want to talk about your videos or your whatever you want to talk about, we're good.
Let's just start with the thing that brought you and I together, and that's the
Sure.
cable management stuff, because I still get questions on it, and I've got a Facebook group. I just got into your Facebook group. I love that thing. And these people who get into astrophotography and they start piling on all the equipment that's necessary, the autofocusers, the DSLRs, dew heaters, and then you see like 100 cables just dragging on the ground, and you just know something's going to snag on the tripod. Pull a power cord out, pull out a USB cable, and you're not going to know if you're inside getting something to warm up. Like, I go in and I grab coffee or hot chocolate in the wintertime constantly, because I'm from Omaha, but like, I'm a desert rat, right? I lived in Phoenix for a few years. I lived in Las Vegas for a few years. Now I'm in Dallas. I don't do the cold, right? And
I'm with you.
yeah. So, cold in Dallas is not the cold that you have in Illinois. It's not the cold that you've got in New York. And it certainly isn't the cold that the brave Canadians deal with 13 months out of the year, right? And I can't do it. So when it's like 50 degrees at night, and most people above the Mason-Dixon line are in t-shirt and shorts out imaging at night, I'm wearing thermals. I've got 2 layers of clothes on, and I'm drinking coffee like I'm a trucker. So going in for these refills, or going in to warm up, or going in to grab something, or maybe, I don't know, you got 100 other reasons that you need to go inside. You've got all these cables hanging off of your telescope. They're going to snag. They're going to drag. The center of gravity is going to shift. They're going to throw your balance off if you're guiding with PhD or any other of the auto guiding programs out there. Those minute variations in your balance are going to affect it. And the problem with guiding is it's reactive. You've already had the mistake, and then it corrects for it. So I got to thinking, what if I could prevent one of those mistakes from happening? And how do I get all of the cables up on top of the OTA? And as the telescope moves, the cables are just there. And maybe I have one data cable, one power cable that hang down, and I can use Velcro ties like these. These are my favorite astrophotography accessory ever. They're the most underrated tool in our arsenal. Throw a couple of those on the cord, maybe Velcro them to a safe spot on the tripod leg so it doesn't grab something I don't want it to. And then the telescope's free to move. The weight change isn't a big deal. The snag issue is mitigated, and I don't have to worry about power or USB being pulled off. So I sent Daniel a couple of photos that I took last night of my equipment, and I don't know if those are going to show through very well, so I'm prepared to give a tour. My webcam actually is mobile, and I can move it around.
That might be even better, because with all the computer issues that I've been having, I think we're better off.
Right. Okay. So let me at least get my telescope moved around a little bit. Let me know if you guys can see this, because I had to switch off that full screen.
No problem.
So do you see the scope there?
Yeah, we see the filter wheel, the back end of the scope.
Cool. Let me just switch over and see what okay, that works. All right. So let's just wake this thing up real quick. There.
Is that moving? I don't even hear it.
Oh, you wouldn't hear it because of my noise canceling headphones.
That would make sense.
And yeah, I can be standing under my garage door when it opens while I'm on the phone with my brother, and he can't tell that the garage is opening. These things are amazing. They completely isolate the outside world from what's going on. So
is that a Paramount?
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh yeah. That's a Paramount MyT.
MyT, yeah.
And I got this right about the time I started doing the cable management stuff. I began the cable management stuff with a Celestron C-Gem. But I got a phone call from Astrophysics of all places. I was on their wait list for like 3 years to get a Mach 1. And I got the phone call. It's like, hey, you're next. And I was like, I don't have the money, because they wanted like 15% down right then on the spot.
Yeah, then, Astrophysics is like that. That's right down the block from where Eric lives, pretty much.
Right. So Astrophysics wanted like 15% down, like right then and there. And I was like, I don't have the money. And they're like, okay, cool. We'll just go to the next person on the list.
Yep, that's what they do.
So what, is it going to be like another 3 years?
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? So I was talking with my wife that day, because they called me while I was like at work. And so I was talking with my wife after work, and I said, that mount that I've been waiting for 3 years to finally get one. And she goes, yeah, they called me today. They wanted like $1,500 right now, or, kiss my chances goodbye. She goes, so did you get it? I go, no. And a couple of months later, I found out about these Paramounts at a star party. I had never heard of them at all. And this guy was asking, like, so you were going to get Astrophysics, but why not get a Paramount? They're better. And I'm like, are you sure? Because like I'd been drinking the Kool-Aid, right? Astrophysics Mach 1s were like they were the Ferrari, Premier. Right?
Oh yeah.
You couldn't get better than a Mach 1. And he's like, no, the software's better. The build quality is every bit as good, but the software is what makes a Paramount better than an Astrophysics, because the Astrophysics software was still playing catch up at that point. And I don't know where they are right now with their software. But I know at the time it just wasn't where the SkyX was, because SkyX actually is what started Software Bisque, and then they started making mounts, right? So they were software first.
The Sky 3, I think, was the first one I got.
Oh wow!
And I still use the Sky 6. 10 I never bought for whatever reason, but yeah, I've been using the Software Bisque for a long time, and that Mighty looks mighty awesome. That's pretty mighty.
That is a pretty looking mount.
It is. It's the anodizing is getting a little faded. I mean, it's 4.5 years old. It spent most of its life outside, and so the sun's starting to bleach the anodizing, and now it's almost a rosé red instead of that fire engine red that they come with.
Right.
But I don't care. I mean, it's a sharp looking mount. It turned heads everywhere I go. I go to star parties, people are like, is that a Paramount? Like,
yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, that's like when I go to the star parties with my obsession, they're like, that's a big scope.
But that's their small one.
Yeah, that's a medium. I got the 18-inch. I got the medium size one. I got the one right in the middle. But yeah, I mean, I actually have another friend, Dennis, who actually has a Paramount as well. I think he has what's the other one? The
There's an ME2 and an MX Plus.
ME2,
and I don't never remember which one's the big brother and which one's the middle child.
It's way out of my price range. So.
Yeah, regardless, it's probably out of my price range right now anyway.
This was technically out of my price range. I had to do a payment plan with Software Bisque. I bought from them direct because I didn't think that any of the vendors would allow me to make installments. But I called Software Bisque up and said, "Hey, I really want one of your mounts. Like, I really want one of your mounts. And I've got 3 credit cards that I can buy it all at once and put myself into debt forever to buy. Or I can do a payment. I could do, $2,000 a month every month for 3 months." And the gals up at Software Bisque are like, we've never had anybody ask that before. We'll do it. We just need to know how to invoice it. So they called me back a few hours later once they figured out the logistics of doing that and set up the first payment. And once I made that last payment, like, it shipped within a few hours. Like they just wanted to get rid of it, I think. And
nice.
It's as nice as they are, they don't come without problems. Like, I had to send the worm blacks in already for warranty service. They're belt driven. And so the belt started to fray. One of my worm blocks was out of spec. They advertise 7 arc seconds peak to peak periodic error in native, and then you should be able to correct that down even better. And I was at My right ascension was 9 arc seconds. So I swapped it with my deck motors because they're completely interchangeable. So like you've got a backup, right? So I swapped it out with my deck, and my deck was like 11. And I came from a season with like 36 arc seconds, peak to peak periodic error. And I was like, this is fine. I don't need to, it's no big deal. But once the belt started cracking and fraying about 8 months later, Daniel Bisk, I put it on the forums like, hey, can I buy this part and replace it? He's like, yeah. Why don't you just send your worm blocks back? Because we know your periodic errors out of spec. We'll just exchange them, part of the warranty. Like he had been wanting me to exchange my worm blocks originally with the periodic error being out of spec. And I was like, I can deal with it. I can live with it, right? It's better than what I had before. I'm managing. But once those belts started going, like he really pressed me hard, like send it in. Like I got VIP treatment from them for no reason whatsoever. I made them draw out the payments for one of their products. I didn't even buy their top tier product. This is the cheapest one that they make. And yet they're treating me like I'm their only customer, and I spent $100,000 there. And that kind of goes back to this philosophy that my grandfather taught me when I was really young is you don't just buy a product, you buy the company.
Yep.
And, you buy something from a company that stands behind their product and shows that they stand behind it. That's why I have a Stellar View. Because if you know anything about Vic Morris and the Stellar View scopes, he treats every single one of his customers as if they are his only customer and his favorite customer. And I bought it secondhand. He never made a penny off of me. I dropped it and destroyed the focuser on the back. Like it was, I sheared teeth off the rack and pinion gear. I bent the focus tube. It slid out of the C-gem and went camera ass end down. And
God forbid, I would cry.
Yeah.
Back when, I was doing I was mentoring a bunch of kids at the elementary school just right over here from my house. They have an astronomy club.
Oh, nice.
And so I'm part of their, I do this with their PTA. I'm not a member of their PTA because I'm not a parent and I don't have any kids enrolled in that school, but I've got a telescope. They need a telescope. I'm their guy. So we're there. It's like my 3rd night ever doing this. And as that telescope slides out, one of the fathers drops an F-bomb while it's on its way down. It was the first and only time I've ever heard a parent swear in front of other people's kids.
Oh, wow.
And it took an eternity for that thing to hit the ground. I mean, time slowed way down.
Oh,
yeah. So back when Yahoo had groups, there was a support group for Stellar View owners, and Vic was on there quite a bit. So I wrote this long essay about what happened. And, it was kind of a humorous story about like, hey, I screwed up big time. And this is the end result. This is why those little locking nuts that you put at the front of your dovetail to keep it from sliding out are so important. It's like if you're going to get cheap and not spend the 25 cents on a bolt in front of your dovetail, you're asking for problems. And I didn't buy it. So Vic tells me, call me tomorrow morning. This is our office number. So I call him the next morning. And he was busy, but he did answer and then passed the phone off to a guy named Adam at Stellar View. And Adam's like, send us the parts, we'll rebuild it. All right, do you need my credit card so you can just charge whatever, labor, parts, materials, whatever? Nah, we'll figure all that out later. Okay, so I send everything off to them. They take a look at it. A few days later, I get a call back from Stellar View and they say, we can't rebuild this. It's just too damaged. We'd have to machine one from scratch, but you're in luck. We have one sitting on the shelf. A guy a few years ago bought your telescope, not this one, but one just like it. And we sent it out with a stock focuser. He decided he wanted the Feather Touch. So he shipped his old focuser back. We sent him a Feather Touch focuser for it. So we have your whole focus just sitting on a shelf in a bag. It's got one defect on it where when he was taking it off, he scratched it with a screwdriver. You're not going to do it. I don't,
no problem.
I don't care. Yeah. Okay. What's it cost? We'll sell it to you for what the scrap is. $60.
Wow, that's it. Yeah. Let me think about that. No, I don't need to think about that.
When you get into something like that, it's just sitting there on the shelf. It's never going to go anywhere. Exactly. So I mean, $60 is all profit.
He didn't have to sell it for 60. He could have said we could sell it to you for wholesale $100, or you know, they list for 225, but you know, I'll give you, because you know,
Give you
it's a
150,
mistake.
whatever.
Yeah, I'll give you
Yeah.
150. No, he sold me for whatever the materials cost. It was like 60
That's
bucks. I was
awesome.
like, do you take MasterCard? So
Nice.
yeah, I kind of feel bad because I bought a GSO scope, which gets a bad connotation because I feel like they are bottom tier, but I hear a lot of good things about them. So I got that GSO Richie Crichton.
Yep.
And so it looks like it's working pretty good. I've only had a chance to use it one time. And that was just a test light, and it worked okay. I was imaging at f8 on M101, and then I think I had a quarter moon. This is just last Monday. And so it wasn't all that awesome, but I mean, it did its job. So, but Stellar View, that's been my workhorse for 4 years.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've actually gone through 3 telescopes probably in that time. So, you know, and I finally settled on the 80 Esprit.
Yeah,
so.
I've been doing this for 11 years. Not just astrophotography, but like I've been into astronomy for 11 years. And Stellar View was scope number 3. The GSO is scope number 4. So I'm real slow to buy scopes. Like I will use the crap out of them. The one I had before was an 1100 Edge HD. And that was, you know, somebody told me, if you want to get into astrophotography and you want to have it easy, do planets. Boy, was that a load of crap. But yeah, I mean, I learned how to do planets. That's kind of where I got my teeth wet. And then I wanted to do deep sky astrophotography with an 1100 Edge HD on the CGEM, and that was just impossible. So got the Stellar View, dipped into deep sky, and it's like, okay, now I'm starting to push myself beyond the capabilities of the mount. So now I need to get a better mount. So that was where the astrophysics came in, and then eventually ended up with the Paramount. And you know, now I can do up to 10, sometimes if I push it and I'm lucky, 15 minutes unguided on a single sub with the Stellar View.
Wow.
So, and it's
nice.
It's the cable management that makes that possible. You're not going to be able to do that with the cables dragging.
Yeah. So you have what? I think it's a 7-part series or an 8-part series on YouTube. 5? I thought it was more. Okay, 5-part series.
No, I mean, it's boring. It feels like it's longer, but really, no, it's just 5.
it's actually very good, and it's the reason why I bought this. You know, and I got the Velcro on the back, just like you. I had the same exact setup that you had with the L blocks and everything. And
so I had a problem with the Velcro here because it gets so high. It gets like, you know, my observatory, when I had a Skyshed pod before this, it'd get 115, 120 degrees in there in the summertime, and the glue and the Velcro would just peel right off. So I actually drilled holes through the back plate of that rig runner that matched the L brackets that I use.
Nice.
And then ran nylon bolts through it because nylon is non-conductive. So I don't have to worry about it shorting out and arcing through the mount, electrocuting me if I touch it. Right. So it's now bolted to that top Lowe's Mandy rail up here. And yeah, it won't fall off, and I don't have to worry about it flexing or wobbling when I try to put something on. And you know, in the dark, if it wobbles or moves, it's kind of hard to do. So the only other part that I have yet to permanently fix to it is my dew heater, but it's light, so I don't have to worry about the weight in the heat of summer pulling that glue off. But let me see if I can get this webcam over here, and we'll try and do a tour.
Yeah.
Sorry if you guys are going to get motion sickness. So
that's all right.
And don't know. It's actually getting dark outside, so I've got this red light over here that I use as ambience. But down here now, this used to be where I had. Let's see. There we go. Down here, I used to have. What was that? I forget what part I used to have on the bottom originally, but now it's the focus links, and that's Velcroed in place. This is the Cat5 data cable that it needs.
Okay.
On the other side is the what is that? A COM port to USB for a computer on.
Okay, so it's a serial to USB.
Yeah, it's a little RJ6 or RJ8.
Yep.
The USB on this end. Over here, it's it's Ethernet, and I use
Right.
a Cat 6, and then it goes right here to the motor focus. Obviously we've got the camera down here with the filter wheel. Trying to watch my computer monitor while I do this so I can see what I'm pointing. May not be showing up very well in the dark. But this is now my USB hub. It's a ASI 1600 mono. So that's my USB hub back here now. And then the Versa plate on the bottom of the Paramount has 2 USB ports. I don't know if those are showing up very well right here.
I could see the wire sticking out, but
yeah. So it's got through the mount cabling for the USB, so I don't have to run that. And I have 2 ports there. I run one of the cords to the camera, which gets me an additional 2 ports. And then that runs all of the USB that I need. So I've actually ended up stripping a lot of stuff off of here. I do not run a PC on this anymore. I do not run the wireless networking through it anymore.
okay.
It's because the equipment that I was using originally was underpowered. The Intel Compute Stick, it worked great when I first started using it. And then several Windows updates later and a SkyX overhaul, and it just doesn't have enough RAM and processing power to run Windows and the SkyX while imaging. There's a huge USB bottleneck inside of it. And the wireless runs through the USB. So if I'm trying to download images from, let's say I'm doing a space station transit of the moon or the sun, I need to be pulling frames in as fast as I can. But if I'm also trying to communicate with my laptop over that same USB connection through a USB Wi-Fi adapter, there's a bottleneck, and I'm either dropping frames or dropping the network connection. And when the network connection would go down, I could not get it back up without power cycling the entire network. So I'd have to unplug the Intel Compute Stick. I'd have to unplug my little nano router. I'd have to plug them all back in and then hope that they just auto reconfigured. I'm probably going to do something like that.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
this is the new thing. It's a little bit bigger than what, but it's got an i3 processor in it. It's got 8 gig of RAM. It's got 3 USB 3.0s in the front, and then I added a hub.
Right.
So I got 7. It's got HDMI out, and it's powered by USB-C.
So was the Intel Compute Stick. That was what I liked about it.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So this one, I'm probably actually going to look for a 12-volt computer, and then I'll just splice that coax power cord to the rig runner and just run it off the rig runner.
There you go.
Buddy of mine, he's right now like real into PC builds, like extreme PC builds. Like he does crazy gaming computers for his friends and family and stuff like that. I mean, they pay him, and he's making a little bit of money doing that. And I said, dude, I need a computer for this. Like, I can build computers. I have not bought an off-the-shelf computer in 20 years. I've built every one of them in the last 20 years. And most people who know how to play with Legos can build a computer. And those who do feel up to the challenge of building their own computer do, and they just don't buy computers anymore.
Right.
But I don't know the miniaturized hardware that well. I build a video editing station. I've got a Threadripper and 32 gigs of DDR4 memory and a NVIDIA graphics card and SSDs and stuff like that. Like I build servers, right? And I need something small. Like I need a workstation that's compact because I want it to have at least an i5, because I know the software overhead that I'm going to be dealing with the SkyX and Windows, and I'm planning a couple of years in the future, upgrades, more capable software and stuff like that. Plus I want to be able to stream from it via like TeamViewer. And so that's going to take a little bit extra overhead, right? So I'm thinking i5 minimum, and my buddy's like, dude, get a Ryzen. We can build you a small system with a Ryzen chip in there and save you a couple of $100. And I'm like, I'm an AMD fanboy. I never thought about going small with Ryzen because Ryzen isn't a small, you don't put them in small computers. They're hot.
Yeah.
Intel's run cool. That's why they're not as powerful as Ryzen chips. So he's like, no, get a Ryzen, get like a Ryzen 5 and you'll be fine. Okay. So in the next month or two, once money recovers, probably have him come over and we'll spec out a PC and try and build something for this thing that can sit on top of here and run it all. I just need to make sure that it's got a robust wireless connection to the access point on the side of my house.
Nice.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Sounds like a decent plan. Sounds like a decent plan with that. Yeah. I just love the way your setup is so streamlined with the wires. I mean, even was looking at the pictures when you sent us. I wish I could show them. Unfortunately, I can't. But the pictures you showed, there's like the wires are so tight and nothing moves, and it's mine's. I mean, if I show you, you want to see what mine looks like? I'll show you my new.
I'm telling you, it's this. This is the secret. Buy a lot of these Velcro cable ties. You know, I'm going
to give you a heart attack right now. There we go. And now this. There we go. Let's see if I can get closer. There you go. That's what that mess looks like right now. That's my rig right now.
You've been home for 5 weeks. Why does it look like that?
Well, that thing on the top. Well, you don't want to know, man. but the thing on the top, the Evo guide I just got, so I was putting that together. I need to get obviously some smaller cables, but that's what mine looks like now, and that's the disaster that I'm dealing with right now. But eventually, you know what, the Eagle does really well, kind of managing that kind of stuff. You know, but it's just a matter of getting the cables small enough so you don't necessarily need if you need one or two of the Velcro twist ties, that's okay. But like I got cables that are 6 feet long on there.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I found over the years that getting 3 foot long USB cables, especially those flat USB cables, I love flat USB cables. I love those
flat USB cables.
You get the 3 foot flat USB cables from Amazon, you're going to save a lot of money, and you're going to be replacing them about every 6 to 8 months. I don't know what it is about them, but I would no longer be able to see a device with that cable after about 3 months, 6 months.
Wow.
And so I'd have to pull the cable off. And I mean, I went through probably 6 of them in the last 3 years. I'm on my last one. I don't know what I've got it connected to right now, but I know my last flat USB cable is on here. And you know, I pull a bad one off, and I mean, I test it with like 2 or 3 different things, and I've got external hard drives I can plug them into. They don't see the hard drives. I try it on my laptop, I try it on my PC, I try it on my work machine, and you know, different devices, and they just don't register. And I don't know what it is. If maybe the cables inside break or something, being bound up that tight. I don't know what it is.
It's possible.
Yeah. But they are cheap. They are short, and you know, you can probably buy like a 10 pack of them for, I don't know, 30 bucks, something like that. Maybe cheaper on Amazon Prime if you get it like what is the Amazon Essentials, which is I think their house brand.
Yeah.
You probably get them a little cheaper there. And yeah, so if you go through a cable every 6 months, 10 of them will last you 5 years.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they just don't last like other USB cables. The cable that I got for the Paramount is the one that came in the box. I've had it for 4 years, no problems. And it's oddly enough the only cable that actually works. If I use any other USB cable, I lose connection to the mount sporadically. But the one that they ship, I don't know what brand it is, but it's the only one that will maintain connection all night long.
Wow.
So have you ordered like a backup? Do you think you would need to get a backup?
I hope not, because I have no idea. I would probably just call Software Bisque and be like, can you send me another one of those magical USB cables y'all have? Because I've tried others and they don't work. I've tried plugging them in, taking a USB cable and using an active USB hub just to boost the signal. No,
nothing.
I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about this cable, but it works.
Well, you got a couple of suggestions online. Chris says get the double shielded USBs. However, Mark is saying flat cables may not be able to handle the severe temperature changes that you have. And Jason says he gets the Cable Matters cables, and they have been solid. The cables, the USB cables from Cable Matters.
Okay.
Are those Cable Matters? I mean, can you verify if those are double shielded? Because if they are, I'll take your recommendation on them. And try and order some of those. So
yeah, we'll see if he answers.
Yeah, we'll see if he answers.
He's on YouTube right now. We got a bunch of people. Chris is also saying he actually sent a link to what he sent a link to another mini
desktop,
mini PC, yeah, an Intel i5 8th gen, 16 gig of RAM, $500, which isn't bad, you know.
No.
But, you know, but again, you know, with the Ryzen chip, man, I'm telling you, that thing's gonna be smoking. You know,
yeah.
It's gonna be smoking.
You don't have to tell me. I've got their Threadripper 2950 sitting up in my machine upstairs, and that thing boots up. It boots up before I press the power button.
Yeah, that's amazing. I mean, I've got like 2 Alienwares, and I've been dealing with them because I stopped making my own computers. I did it for many years, and then I just got lazy, and I said, you know what? I don't want. I want the warranty. If it's broken, I want to send it back. You know.
Yeah.
So I bought the R9 from Alienware last year, and with the what is it, the whatchamacallit, the NVIDIA card, the good one. I forget which one it was.
1080.
It might have been. I don't remember. I honestly don't remember. But I just threw another SSD in there for PixInsight for the swap files, and now it's smoking. I see you moving. You're moving stuff around.
I'm gonna open the roof.
Oh, nice.
It's pretty much twilight out, so I'm gonna open the roof.
All right.
So.
Jason said he can't verify the double shielding, but it's been a year and they've had no issues. There's very little specs on them, apparently.
Yeah, Jason, can you actually, like, instead of using the group chat on YouTube, put a comment under this video with, I don't know, an Amazon link or something like that? Because I will go back and add them either to my wish list or, you know, if the price is right, I might pick up a couple of them right away.
Yeah.
I do appreciate taking suggestions from people who have been using products and can say, I use it, it works. I hate buying blind.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So, you know, if anybody gets any clouds, I'm gonna have to say I'm sorry in advance, because for those of you guys that watch the show every week, you guys know that I've been having guiding issues for the past, I guess, about 2.5 weeks. It's not getting any southern movement, very little. Just haven't met. I was guiding at 0.5 or better for a long time on an Atlas, and now I'm over 1.5, almost 2, and so I pulled the trigger on an EQ6R Pro. So I did it today, and so it's on its way. So I needed something small. Well, not small, but I needed something. I can't go without a mount. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't. You know. So my friend Minos is gonna try and take it apart for me and fix it. And it's about 8 years. My Atlas has been a workhorse for me for the past almost 10 years. And I've never taken it apart. I've never looked in the inside. I'm technically an engineering moron. I'm not good with that kind of stuff. So I'm not good with teeth. I'm not good with bearings. I'm not good with belts. I'm not good with that. I'm probably in the wrong hobby, but my friend Minos is going to try and take a look at it and see if he can fix it. And if you can, great. If not, I got 2 mounts now. So I'll run dual scopes.
There you go.
They're not that hard. I stripped my C-Gem apart. I waited for the warranty to end. But I mean, like, the next day, I tore it apart. I did my own hypertune on it.
Yeah.
And they're not hard. They're not hard.
Actually, he did send a link, Jason, to the US. Actually, I have these cables.
Now hold on for a second, guys. I'll be right back.
Yep.
I'll be right here.
I don't see anything about double shielded on the link. I'm sure that if you go on the Cable Matters website because the product code is here, you could probably find out, see more product details. Doesn't say anything about double shielded at all. I'm sure we can find out, but I mean, they're relatively cheap. It's like 4 for like $10. I'm looking at a picture.
I'm browsing Amazon right now.
Yeah.
See their display port. In fact, I might have these display port cables that I use for my home office.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have. Let's see. Rishi is here. He says hello. Jason, entire lineup from 1.1 to USB-C. You never know. They might work.
Yeah, if I can find a couple of 3-footers, totally down.
Yep. Actually, I think I have a whole bunch of them in a little bag. I think I bought like 10 1-footers for my old rig, and they're still in the bag, I think.
I don't know if you guys see these.
I've seen those. Yep.
Yeah, this is what I do for right now. These are pretty nice because you have the little clips, so you can run all your cables through there and just fish it all through. So and I still Velcro everything together. I Velcro it all together.
Yep.
And run it, but I like Alan's setup as well with the rig runner.
Check this out.
Yeah, if you could do the rig runner and then get the Anderson power poles, which are these connectors, and everything. What's great about this is, and you're going to learn if you get the rig runner, you're going to carry more fuses around with you just in case. But everything is fused. Every channel is fused on its own to different amperage. That's the great thing about it. So you got a 40 amp in, and it's all distributed among 8 other channels.
The thing is, I don't know of much astrophotography equipment that draws more than 2 amps. So you can actually pull all of those fuses out, place it with 2 amp fuses, and you should basically be able to protect all of your equipment from a short or something like that. The defaults are, I think you get like a couple of 1 amp, a couple of 5 amp, a couple of 10, and a couple of 20 amp fuses.
Correct.
Pull them all out, stick a couple of 1 ampers in there. But Eric, all of my cables are just bundled up right in there.
Wow.
And they just hang out inside of there between the dovetail and the top of the OTA. And I use these 1-inch standoffs. They're basically just stainless steel bushings, and the bolt goes through the Lowe's Mandy plate here into my 2 rings, and then these standoffs just hold everything 1 inch above, and it gives me all the clearance in here. So all of my cables are tucked inside here. They don't move. They don't dangle. They move around inside of there, but that's not enough really to screw anything up. And that's evidenced by the fact that, I do unguided astrophotography 5-10 minutes, if I'm really lucky, 15. And that 15 minutes, I mean, that's a long time for the wind not to blow. That's a very long time for a car not to drive by. That's a very long time for me not to sneeze during allergy season. I mean, that's a very long time for nothing to happen, so that, because I image at effectively 1 arc second per pixel. So that's a very long time for my telescope to not move more than 3,600th of a degree for 15 minutes.
Yep.
I mean, that's hard. I mean, 10 minutes is stressful. 15 minutes is hard.
Yeah.
5 minutes unguided. That's not that hard. With something like this, I mean, you
got a mind to, you're gonna be good.
But with your rig, you can do that. With my CGX, no.
your CGX though, if you got your periodic error corrected and you're doing good cable management, you get your polar limit bang on, there's no reason why you couldn't do 3 minutes unguided.
Yeah.
Right. As if you're using a reasonable scope. Now, I mean, if you're using like an 8-inch Schmidt Cassegrain, good luck. I don't expect to be able to do more than 3 minutes with my Ricci Crichton, where I can do 5 with the Stellar View. Why? The focal length is double. I mean, that's the pixel scale's half. I image at 1 arc second with this scope, And the Ritchie Crichton, I'm going to be imaging until I get a focal reducer at 0.68 arc seconds per pixel. Now we're getting to like, that's difficult to do. Like a 15-minute sub exposure is difficult to do.
Yeah.
So, you know, Paramount MITs, they can only take you so far. But I mean, once you start doing dumb stuff with them, like trying to image 15 minutes at half an arc second per pixel, no. Like I would have to get an auto guider.
Yeah. Mark is asking, Mark is saying, are you completely unguided?
I do not have, I only own 2 telescopes. One is an 8-inch Ritchie Crichton. The other one is this Stellar View. I don't have a second guide scope, finder scope, anything. It's just, that's the only glass I own.
So you do no guiding at all? Wow.
No, I've got a guide
awesome.
camera, but I don't have anything to hook it. I don't have anything to hook it up to. Well, my guide camera is an ASI 174, planetary lunar type camera.
Sure.
Apparently they're really good for auto guiding too, because they've got the high frame rates and sensitive pixels. I don't have anything to put it on. So I would have to either get an off-axis guider or a second guide scope, and I don't know. So yeah, no, I have not done auto guiding in 5 years.
Wow.
That's
yeah,
impressive.
it's like some of you who are watching, you might know that I've got a YouTube channel, and I've been putting up videos for, I don't know, 6-7 years.
Yep.
There's a reason I have not done a how to do PhD or how to do auto guiding tutorial yet. I don't have the equipment to do the video. Like I'd have to borrow someone else's telescope to learn and then show you guys what I just learned. So if anybody ever asks me, how do you do PhD? Check out Chuck's astrophotography. The dude's a genius with it.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually did a video with all of his settings. He showed everybody his settings for the Rasa. He showed settings for the 127 that he uses. But
I put out a video last year, November timeframe, on how to use how to do dithering with different programs. And I know PhD 2 can do dithering, but I don't know how to set it up. So I actually had to go watch that video of his where all of his settings are. And I'm taking notes. I'm like, okay, this screen is this screen is that. That's where dithering's at, making notes, writing it down, and then I go back and I learn how to do it. And I'm like, okay. And I tried to do it a couple of different times with my computer, but if you don't have a guide star, PhD won't dither unless somebody knows how to make it work that way. I couldn't figure it out, but I don't use PhD because I don't guide. Right. And so I was like, and I even left that in the video, like, I'm going to try and guide or do dithering without a guide star. Like, it wasn't going to work. And I even left that mistake in there to let you know. Yeah. Like, I left that in as I'm going to try and do something that I have no clue what's going on. I try to be transparent in my channel. It's not all perfect. We know it's not all perfect. I don't have perfect nights. And, you know, there were some videos that I've done where my equipment goes bad. I leave that in the video. Like, okay, now you got to watch me fix a computer that, I got a USB hub that died on me. And in 6 hours, the space station's going to transit the moon. And I still have to drive 20 miles to get there. Oh, and take night classes. Nice. So, yeah, you know, when it gets down to crunch time, it's like, how do we solve this? You know, like, part of that video is me going down to Micro Center, which is our electronics store here in town.
Yeah, I got one down the block from my house.
Yeah, buying a USB hub, going home, then going to night classes, then coming back, going to the mall with my wife. She's not in any of my videos. She's camera shy. And then, you know, getting my very first ISS transit of the moon. First time I ever did it, nailed it. It was way smaller than I thought it was going to be. I had no idea what I was getting into at that point. But then I learned if it's overhead, it's really big. And so my solar transits are usually done around noontime. And I think I've done 6 solar transits. I've got 2 videos on them, but I've done 6. Nice. They're easy. You just got to be in the right place at the right time, and you can plan that ahead a few days. So I mean, they're easy.
Yeah, I've never actually done it. I've never actually tried to do it. Yeah, I haven't gotten there yet. You got a couple of comments here. Chris says, crazy, I can never do unguided with an 8-inch SCT. Yeah, I wouldn't try it at 2,000 millimeters either.
No, I mean, I'm going to be doing it with an 8-inch Ritchie Crichton at like, what is it? 1600.
Yeah, I think it's like 1600.
Yeah, I understand I'm a little crazy, but then again, I'm also the guy that just, if it can be done, I will find a way to do it.
I'd love to see the results after 5 minutes on that. So
Yeah.
it's going to be tough.
Three.
Three. All right, three.
I legitimately think 3 is doable. 5 is going to be like a 15-minute on this thing. It's if I can pull a 5-minute sub, it's going to be, I'm tossing 2 5-minute subs just for one good 5-minute sub kind of situations.
Steve Flanagan is on. He says hi. Tarek is on. Tarek's all these guys. All these guys are constant followers. So these are really good that they're coming back. So thank you for coming back, guys. Appreciate it. It means that we're doing something right here. So Tarek said, I have a US.
Where are they watching? Which platform are they watching from? Is this Facebook, Twitch, YouTube?
There's 3. We're going on 2 right now. We're on YouTube and Facebook right now. I usually do when I'm when my Wirecast is working right. I add on Twitch as well. But right now I don't have much going on Twitch. I just started it, so there's really not much. I don't think we've had one comment on Twitch at all, to be honest with you, over the past 5 shows. So
I watch you on YouTube, and for 90% of the show that I'm watching, I'm the only one commenting. It's like there's no one here. So like I'm just curious, where are your other viewers coming from? Because
90% of them are from Facebook.
Maybe I should start joining in on the chat from Facebook instead of from YouTube. Unless you want the YouTube watch time, then I'll keep watching you there. But
watch it on both.
I've only got the one monitor.
Put one on your phone.
There you go.
There you go. But the YouTube following is definitely growing. I think we got about another 40 subscribers over the past 2 or 3 weeks.
Nice.
But it's slow moving. I don't push it a lot. I've been pushing to Facebook a little bit more. We got I have now over 1,000 followers on my page and about 700 on the AstroWorld page. So I mean, it's working. I think again, it's not all about that. The reason why I think we all do this is just so hopefully people can learn from the mistakes that we made. And the one thing the issue that I had coming up in this community, not even the astrophotography community, just the astronomy community in itself, it's a very select group of people, and sometimes it's kind of tough to find that group of people. On Long Island, you look for somebody you have somebody with a telescope out there. They're a nerd, they're a geek, they're whatever. Don't talk to them, go away. But you sit there, it's a little different now. You're able to find different groups now. Now there's 3 major groups on 2 on Long Island, 1 in the city, that are relatively within 20-30 minutes of each other. So it's the people and the community have gotten so big and so grand now. It's been more kind of less of a I guess a schism or some evil thing with the telescope. You think but now it's like people are starting to like it, and they're starting to put money into it, and they're starting to see the results. It's way back when I started on film. I started on film with a 35mm camera. That was horrible. And then digital came out. Now people are getting, shots that would have taken hours with film on an F2 Rasa in like 5 minutes. Right. Or a Hyperstar in like 5 minutes. So I mean, it's amazing what's coming out now in the short period of time, and how the technology has advanced from, I guess, when I started taking photos in maybe like the early 90s to now.
Hey, Alan, now that you've got your RC, I was also looking at an RC. What is did you get it primarily with it for planetary or more for like galaxy season? Since it had such a long focal length, what was your main goals and targets with the RC?
Yeah, it was strictly a galaxy purchase. Yeah, I'll do planets with it from time to time. The little boy across the street, he wants to see Saturn so bad right now, and I just had to tell him, dude,
2 in the morning,
August.
Yeah.
Come back in August.
Please come back in August. I think we got somebody, Adam from Sydney, Australia, watching.
Distance winner.
Yeah, there you go. I don't think you can get any more further. You're coming back. So,
yeah.
So welcome, Adam. Chris is just saying both Facebook and YouTube. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Alan.
Oh,
so basically right now you're doing it for Galaxy. Do you have any specific targets that that you jotted down to plan on? How are you planning out your targets yourself?
So right now it's learning curve. So I'm going to learn on the easy ones like M81 and 82,
Sure.
and then possibly M101, M51. The ones that are big,
The main ones, yeah.
brighter, right? I did send it over to the Leo Trio on test night for its test light, and I was having some problems with my mount that night, and it's just I don't know that I had it balanced right. I did a really weak T-point model in the SkyX, so it wasn't a very robust polar alignment. It wasn't a very robust pro track to help with the predictive tracking, which is how I solve for auto guiding. Is it's basically just it figures out where my mount is going to move and eliminates the need for auto guiding through software, and it's fairly accurate. And it wasn't working. I could get about 30 seconds before my stars would trail. But that was, just to see how do they frame up on my DSLR. And then the moon's been getting so bright lately. I can just now see it coming up over the edge of my roof line here when I rolled my roof off, and it's full, and it's
the super moon, I think tonight.
Yep.
Super moon.
Another super moon. Didn't we have one isn't every moon lately a super moon?
Every month.
Feels like
sometimes we got two super moons.
Yeah.
Everything's a super moon, blue moon, wolf moon. I don't know, red moon.
Yeah, I think this one is the milk moon.
I'll take.
I wonder how many people are waiting for it to turn into milk.
Yeah, I'm on its way down, and it'll drop some cheese.
Yeah.
But I can actually see some clouds moving in, so no, maybe.
Yeah, it's just this time of year, with just with the changes in the weather, it's just so frustrating sometimes because you have such pretty and clear days, and then as soon as that sun sets and the moon rises, here come the clouds.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the trick right now is figuring out the right balance on the scope. Which camera am I going to go with? Am I going to use my 1600 or my DSLR? I'm trying to relearn DSLR because that's where I started with was a DSLR doing planets, and then I've done some deep sky with a DSLR, and then I bought an S-Big ST8300, the first ST8300 from like 10 years ago. And I sold that for the 1600 mono. And now I'm going back to DSLR because with Galaxies, especially in the summer, my nights are short, right? So why spend 3 nights, 1 night per R, G, and B channel, if I could do 3 nights and get color photos each night and have more data? So trying to relearn how do I do long exposure, low noise, good signal to noise ratio, high quality subs with a DSLR when really all I've ever done with the DSLR is planetary. So it's just crank out as many subs as you can, as fast as you can in an AVI file and stack them. And that's how you beat the noise game in planetary. You stack 600 photos. There's no noise when you do that. But to take 600 photos at 5 minutes each, I unfortunately know how long that takes, and that takes 5 nights in the middle of winter, where I can image 6 hours a night. And I don't know that I'm going to have that luxury in the summertime with the DSL or with the mono camera. Because I'll get maybe 6 hours of good, like solid dark here. For 2 weeks, and in that 2 weeks I might have 5 good nights where the weather isn't thunderstorms, so
Hurricanes.
That's just fortunately not. Dallas rarely gets them. We're almost up to the Oklahoma state line. It takes me an hour to drive to Oklahoma from here, most of the hurricanes that come up the Gulf Coast towards us, they recurve back toward both you guys, and they don't want to mess with Dallas. I've only ever experienced one actual hurricane in the 12 years that I've lived in Dallas, and that was probably 2010, 2011 era. I think it was a Cat 1, or maybe just downgraded to tropical storm when it moved through. But every other storm has just dodged us a little bit.
Oh, wow. Okay. Mark wants to know which DSLR you have.
Canon 80D. Started with a T3i though.
Okay.
Yeah. I actually had that model.
I think everybody did.
Yeah, I think that was the first one that came out that everyone just started buying. I think that.
What I noticed was that was about the time that astrophotography kind of became modern day mainstream, and that was the DSLR to have at that time. So like everybody who wanted to get in and take astrophotography photos, that was the cheap entry level DSLR with good results that you could get. I think just everybody rushed out and bought one. And like everybody had one. A lot of people still do.
Yeah, and then they came out with what, the 6D, I think it was. The original 6D, the one without the infrared.
I thought that was before the T3. I don't know. I'm not sure how that worked.
Yeah, they came right after the T3i. I think maybe after the T4, they came out with the model that was strictly for astronomy. I think it was called the 6D, and it was the first DSLR astro camera. Maybe it was a 6DA, because the 60DA came out after. That's the second model. There was one before that, but I never bought that one. I did the same thing that you did with the T3i. And I had a 8-inch McCassegrain that I was playing with for a little bit, and all the rest of the trials and tribulations that come with that, which we go over on multiple occasions.
Yeah, we
do.
Yeah.
Let's see. Wanted to know where you're at. Told him it's Dallas or in the area. It's so hard when it's warm to use a DSLR. I have used an EOS in the winter. Canons are good. I have a 6D Mark II. Disappointed in it, and it was an upgrade from a 6D. It was a Canon 6DA. Mark confirmed that. Did you modify your T3i? Jesse's on. Jesse's a friend that I met in NEAF a couple years back. Did you modify your T3i? I have one that I haven't used for years, and I'm thinking of taking the filter out.
No, I didn't modify mine because I also do daylight photography. My wife likes to go out and snap photos and stuff. So if I were to take pictures with her, then, I would want a camera that I can focus with her. And I'm handy. Some would say handy enough to be dangerous. And so I know I could get the filter out. I don't know if I could get that that other filter. What is it? The clear glass that you could drop into.
Yep.
Because, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I read it wrong. Maybe I understood it wrong. But I heard that part is that's the critical part. If you're going to put that glass back in, like that's got to be critical, because you could get something trapped between the glass and the sensor. And if you don't get it on just right, if the spacing is just off by even a hair, it doesn't work. The camera will still function, but you won't be able to get that sharp pinpoint focus that you're looking for. And so I just like, nope, that sounds like too much risk for too little reward. I'm just going to leave it stock. And then if I ever sold the camera, which I ended up doing about 2 years ago, but if I thought that if I'm ever going to sell the camera and I modify it, I can only sell it to another astrophotographer, and they're going to give me bottom dollar for it because well, it's modified, it's used, blah, blah, blah. I'm a poor astrophotographer. This hobby's expensive. Give me a break. But if I have a fully intact camera with all the lenses and the gear bag and all that other stuff, I can sell it to anyone. And if somebody tries to lowball me, I can say no and wait for the next person to come and get a reasonable offer. I mean, I just did that with my drone. That's what paid for the Richie Crichton, as I sold a drone, and I had it listed, and I had, it was on Facebook Marketplace. And I was, full kit, I mean, like this was, you would swear I was a professional drone pilot. I only flew it for an hour. That's all the drone experience I have is an hour. But I listed it for $1,000, and I had people come back. I could buy one brand new for $1,500. I'm like, yeah, you can. That's why I'm selling mine for. That's why I'm selling mine for $1,000. Well, yours is used. I can prove it's only been flown for an hour. This thing's practically brand new.
Right.
It still has some of that little protective plastic on it.
Nice.
Right? Well, I can give you 400 for it.
No.
Keep walking.
Keep walking.
Nope.
Tarek wants to know which stellar view you have.
The SV 105.
105.
Okay, 105. Okay.
And Chris says he's so afraid of the Rickety Crichton. Is it a collimation nightmare?
Mine's perfectly collimated from the factory. I have yet to intentionally screw it up, only to learn how to do it right. I do know that if you buy a 8-inch or smaller, it doesn't matter who you get it from, you have to get a collimation tilt plate to go with it, because that mirror is fixed to the baffle tube on the inside. And that baffle tube is mated to the rear cell where you thread your focuser to. And so the focuser and the mirror are on one fixed apparatus. And so if those are out of collimation, you can't adjust it. So you have to get that tilt plate, so that adds something between the two that separates mirror from focuser. So I've got one on back order. OPT was sold out when I bought everything. Should be coming from China in a year now. And so, but I've got the Howie Glatter laser and the holographic circular attachment for it.
Yep.
And the only pain in the ass part is when I go to run that laser through the focuser and try to see, does it hit the center of that secondary?
Right.
No matter how I crane my neck, I can barely make out that center spot on the secondary mirror.
Yeah.
And I can, when the laser hits it, I lose it because it's so bright. So, but when I did do a couple of different on-off tests from different angles, I confirmed as best as I can, it's collimated.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll just go with that. I mean, it seems to be working.
Jesse said, that's what I was wondering if I should replace with the glass filter. I thought I had heard there was a focus issue. I got bored the other day, almost decided to rip into it, but I decided better wait till until I had the clear glass. Yeah, you're gonna need that.
Don't start a project until you know you have everything you need to finish it, because my house is full of half-finished projects, and it's like,
especially when you deal with the sensor, though. You know?
Like, I got to go to the store for what?
I need more M6 screws.
Yeah. No, when I did my first hypertune, my mount sat disassembled on my desk for 3 days, because that's how many things I didn't have, and I had to do the back and forth. And it's like, I'm done. I've gone to the hardware store twice, and I still can't find roller skate bearings.
You know, one of my videos on YouTube, we were doing the moonlight installation on the Esprit, and the video is actually like, it's dreadfully like 4 hours or something long. It was just, yeah, it's horrible. And my friend Minos, who was helping me with it, I don't know what I did, but I went back and forth a couple times to some places to get some stuff, and I twinged my back so bad that he had to finish the installation because I couldn't even stand. Don't know what I did. Don't know.
I don't know what you were doing for 4 hours, because I deforked an LX50 in 22 minutes live on YouTube a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I'm sure. You know, it was just a nightmare. We were just talking and BSing and playing around and stuff like that. You know, so it's just, we just let the camera run. Normally it would have taken maybe 30 minutes to put the focuser on. It's really not that hard. You just unscrew the flange, put the flange back on, and pop it in.
Right.
But you know, but unfortunately, with that was with the one of the ones where that was the Explore Scientific. I'm sorry, not the Esprit. That they actually Loctited the flange in the tube. Yeah. So apparently, Explore Scientific for the past couple of years have been Loctiting their flanges, the focus flange in the tube. So you actually have to send it back. You got to actually request them to loosen it up for you if you want it with another focuser.
I'm going to give all of your viewers a secret to getting that undone.
Oh, nice.
Do it
I wish I heard it 4 years ago.
Do it at your own peril.
Okay, fair enough.
Step one is remove the optic, the cell that holds all of the glass from the front of that telescope.
Okay.
Take the rest of it, put it in your oven. Bake it at 200 degrees for about 15 to 20 minutes. It will soften red Loctite, and you can take a strap wrench to it. And I mean, it's going to take some torque, but it'll come off. It's not permanent once you get it hot. I accidentally at night Loctited a 5mm extension tube to the back of my focal reducer on the stellar view. I was having a hard time getting it on and off, and I finally got it off, and I'm like, I'm going to throw some lubrication on this thing so that the next time I have to get it off, it'll just glide right off.
Right.
And I grabbed the Loctite at night, couldn't see what I was doing, and Loctited the son of a bitch on there. And because I cannot remove the optics from that focal reducer, it's there.
Yeah.
But that's where I learned the trick, is like, how do I get this off? And I researched everywhere. How can I get this off? How can I undo my mistake? And it's like, well, if you bake it in the oven at like 200 degrees for 15 minutes or so, it'll soften up. I'm not about to put this glass in there because it's going to expand differently than the metal. And if that shatters,
that's it.
It's game
You're
over.
done.
Yeah, buy a new one.
Yeah.
So
let me ask you this. You've so if you've gone from a Celestron to the Paramount, how was your learning curve? As far as how was the learning curve transitioning from that? A lot of new astronomers and astrophotographers, they get started with Celestron or a Meade or something like that. How was the learning curve for you? Or can you tell us how the learning curve is, or what to expect if people, going for these higher end mounts and stuff like that?
That's a very good question. And I would say that the learning curve looks an awful lot like what we saw with COVID-19 a couple of months ago, where you just had this huge spike and then it dropped down and you're trying to figure out how to flatten the curve. And it's all software, really. The mount itself, the hand controller, I don't know if you'll see that.
Oh, wow.
No, there's nothing to it.
4 speeds and a joystick.
Oh, wow.
So those cumbersome menus that Meade has and some Celestrons have, those go away. So if you're comfortable with those menus and you felt that you were comfortable learning those menus, don't worry, you don't have to figure that out again. And it's all software. It's just the SkyX. So if you buy a Paramount, you get the SkyX free. It's included with it. And I mean, you should. I mean, it's the only software that can control the mount, and you just spent $6,000 on a MIT. The least they can do is give you the software with it, right? And the software itself, it does everything. I'm still learning new features. I won't be surprised on the day that I learn how to order Domino's pizza from the software. I know it's in there somewhere. Still going through menus. No, really, the software does it all. It does your camera, focuser. If you've got a dome, automated dome, it can do your dome control. If I made this roll-off roof automated, it could do that. It does your auto guiding. It handles all of your periodic error correction. So like with Celestions, you got to download like their periodic error tool and measure everything, run it through it. It comes up with its own PEC curve and adjust it. The SkyX has all of that already in there for you. So you can just run their auto guiding program, but don't guide. It'll record the guiding logs. You feed that into its own internal PEC program. It generates a PEC, programs the mount, and you're done. I did that a couple of different times, worked really nice. And then I went and I bought PEM Pro, whatever the latest, I think they're up to 3 now. And I ran it, and that actually reduced my periodic error down even further. So that was actually a good buy, I thought. I don't remember what my periodic error is. I think it's like 2 arc seconds, 3 arc seconds after it's been corrected. So I mean, it knocked it quite a ways down. But yeah, it's just the software is where the learning curve is. So if you have had experience using like Stellarium or some of the other planetarium programs, that's like the main UI is the planetarium software suite, right? And if you're pretty good at navigating that kind of stuff and you think you're pretty software savvy and you don't feel intimidated learning a brand new program, then the learning curve is going to be a lot easier. Now, I'm a tech professional. I've worked in IT for about 15 or so years, and I've done a lot of contract work. So I don't stay at a company generally more than about 3 years. So I'm always learning brand new software that's been grown in-house. I'm a database programmer, so like my main job is building the database under these programs, but I'm always exposed to brand new programs, brand new web UIs, brand new desktop applications, all of that other stuff that goes along with it. So you can sit me in front of something I've never seen before, and I can kind of figure it out. As long as the person who built it knew what they were doing, I can probably figure it out. But the polar alignment, that's something else, because with a Celestron, you do 2-star polar alignment or a 3-star polar alignment. And then you can do the all-star polar alignment where you do a 2+4. And you don't do that with a Paramount. You plate solve at minimum 6 points in the sky, 3 on each side of the meridian. It calculates the offsets, and then the mount has these knobs for azimuth adjustment and a knob for the altitude adjustment. But they got markings on them, and it tells you tighten the left azimuth and loosen the right azimuth 5 ticks. Okay, so you just count the tick marks. Okay, altitude, 1 full turn and 2 ticks. You move it 1 full turn and 2 ticks, and then you do your 6 points plate solve all over again. I'm watching the clouds. They actually look like they're going to miss me tonight. Just a little thin shuffle clouds. You run it again for verification. And oh, wait, nope. Got to adjust the altitude a little bit. Got to move it another 2 ticks. And now I got to redo the azimuth a little bit more. But you just move with these little tick marks. I can show you them. They should show up. In fact, I'll even use my flashlight on my phone. Looking over my shoulder.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So those are your azimuth knobs right there.
Right.
And it just tells you how many of them little tick marks right in there that you move it.
Gotcha.
Similar setup with the altitude.
Nice.
So yeah, it does all the hard work for you. And once you get it, once you get your polar alignment dialed in, it takes me on average 3 or 4 of those runs to get it to where my polar alignment is. And I'll tell you what it is right now because I've got it from last night. It hasn't moved. In azimuth, my misalignment is 0 arc seconds. Elevation, my elevation error is 2.3 arc minutes.
Okay.
So I am off by 1/20th of a degree in altitude. And
Yeah.
bang on azimuth. And that took me, but last night, I mean, I really dialed it in because I tore all this apart and rebuilt it because of some issues I was having, and I wanted to make sure it was not the mount and if it was something associated with the Ritchie Crichton. So I took everything down to the foundation, redid the tripod, leveled it, tightened everything down, tightened all the legs on the tripod, rebalanced everything. Redid my polar arm. Is the best polar arm I've actually had in a while, but it took me about an hour last night to get this polar aligned. And you know, for somebody who's going to do drift alignment, to get it where you're about as accurate as I am, I would say it's probably going to take 30 minutes or more. If you got a pole master, yeah, you could do it a lot faster, and you could put a pole master on these and get it polar aligned pretty quick.
So somebody actually just said that online. He's like, I'll stick with my pole master.
Yeah.
So
But I will say that the people who have a Paramount that also use pole masters, I have yet to see one person actually successful with it. Now I know there are successful people out there with it. I just don't know who those people are. Galactic Hunter Antoine, he's using a pole master with his. I've been walking him through. I've had phone calls with him via Facebook Messenger, and I've been walking him through all the software because he's coming from a Orion Atlas, I think.
Yep.
And they gave him OPT gave him a Paramount for a few months to demo to try and get an APOD.
Yeah.
And so I was the guy that, he reached out to and said, I need help. I don't know what I'm doing. I said, say no more. I've taught a couple of people how to use theirs. George Lutch in the YouTube chat.
He's actually watching.
Yeah. He came over to my house within a few days of getting his Paramount MIT and sat here in my driveway with him for a few hours and walked him through the whole polar alignment process.
Yep.
When you don't know what you're doing, the polar alignment process is pretty intimidating. But once you have somebody who knows, ignore all of this other stuff and just do these 4 things, then it gets really easy. And you just repeat those 4 things over and over and over again. Plate solve, make the adjustments, repeat. And then once you have your polar alignment as good as you want, do a sky model of 100 or more points. And that sky model is what gets you the unguided tracking. You could be polar aligned as good as I am, but if you don't do the sky model, you won't track very well because the tracking handles tube flexure, imbalance issues. I mean, there's like 30 different parameters that feed this model of the mount's guiding. I say guiding, I mean tracking.
Right.
And it will predictively track in RA and DEC for whatever errors you have. I mean, it deals with like the perpendicularity of the imaging plane to the RA and the DEC axis, the orthogonality of your telescope. So if your telescope is not set in that saddle plate just right, you tighten your bolts down and everything's slightly askew, yeah, it figures it out and takes care of it.
Wow.
And so the software BISC or the software for the mount pretty much does all that, the modeling and all that too, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just click a couple of buttons on a few screens. But the learning curve, the real learning curve with software BISC is learning what you don't need to do the job at hand. That's the trick part because they throw so much stuff at you with their software because it's so robust. You don't know how to get through the weeds.
I saw the manual, and when Antoine, he pulled out the manual in his video.
I have it. I read that manual 2 or 3 times, and I will tell you that was the biggest waste of time ever because it's got all of this awesome information in it. It really does walk you through like all the little bits and pieces. There's no part in there about ordering pizza though, but they walk you through all the other stuff. But I used 10% of their software. I did not need to read the other 90% of that book. And so that's the thing is the biggest learning curve is learning what you don't need. And then just focus on that 5 or 10% that you do need. The rest of the stuff you might need later, focus on it later. Like I just learned a couple of weeks ago how to track the International Space Station with this thing. Cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't have any ISS passes for a while, but I just figured out how to do it. I could have done it 4 years ago. I chose not to learn it because it's like I'll learn it when I want to know. And so a couple of weeks I was going to try and do a live stream of a space station pass over my house, and it got cloudy, and it stayed cloudy, and the clouds weren't leaving, and the weatherman lied to me, and so
like they always do.
Yeah.
Steve Volinsky asking if anyone uses the ASI Air.
I had one. I was, yeah.
You're still waiting for your Pro
though. Yeah.
A friend of mine had one, and he won. He got his. I think he won it in a contest or something like that online. I think it was like a astro imaging. He had to pretty picture, and they gave him one as a first prize. But he shouldn't be near technology. And I don't know how he takes astrophotography because the guy can't do technology at all. And he asked me, "You got a YouTube channel? Do you think you could review this and maybe do tutorials and show other people how to use it, then give it back to me so I could watch your videos and learn how to use it?" Like,
nice.
Sure. I had it for about 4 months. I could never get it to work with this. And it turns out at the time, the SkyX didn't work on Raspberry Pi devices yet. And so, no, I had one. I got it to boot up. I got to see the interface. I got to thinking to myself, well, that looks like a Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
And that's about as far as I got. Antoine from Galactic Hunter, I know he's using one. I don't think he's using it with the Paramount. I think he uses it with his Atlas. And he, from what I can tell, because I talk to him not every day, but maybe once every week online. Okay. He seems to like it.
Yeah,
a lot of people do. I know TJ in upstate New York. He's like ASI, TJ Connolly, who does a lot for ZWO. As the pro now, and he's been saying nothing but good stuff about it. You know, again, it all depends on how much functionality you want. You know, you got the Raspberry Pi, you got it now has plate solving. They finally introduced an autofocus routine for the EAF, which they have. You know, so that, you know, they're still working on the software from what I know, but
yeah,
I don't use ASI, and I probably, now that I've been waiting for the ASI Air Pro for so long, I got this, and now this is set. So I don't even know if I'm going to even bother getting the Pro because this is set up, you know, so
probably like your little mini PC better than the ASI Air Pro anyway, because it's probably, you're probably running Windows on there, right?
Oh yeah. It's a Windows 10. Yeah.
So you've got all of your Windows ASCOM software that you're used to using with a laptop. Put it right on there. You don't have to worry about figuring out which Linux distribution you have, and then what, you know, Linux packages you need to get for that specific distribution for whatever it is you're going to be using. It's one of the reasons why I never got into Linux, is it was just too many choices. I never knew which ones were the right ones. And Linux guys, they seem to know. My friend Tim, he's a Linux guy. He helped me build the observatory. And, you know, if I really wanted to learn Linux, I could just ask him. He'd probably be able to teach it to me. I hope he could teach it to me. I would like to think I could learn it. I'm such a Windows guy.
Yeah. Well, being in the Astro community, you kind of have to be for the most part. I mean, so there's so much more opportunity, not only in software in Windows as opposed to Mac and even Linux for that matter.
That's going to change.
It will. You know, Chris wants to know what you use to process your images.
Right now, PixInsight. Before then, it was Deep Sky Stacker to do the stacking. And then once Deep Sky Stacker spit out the image, it would go into Photoshop, and I would tweak them in Photoshop. I have learned with PixInsight that I can take really good data and make really bad photos.
Yes, you can. There's so much with PixInsight.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn. There's a bunch of tools and scripts and processes that you could really screw things up good.
Yeah. That's why I'm learning PixInsight, you know, because I have Adam Block's videos. I've just started them, but I'm still using AstroPixel processor. You know, which, you know, it's pretty nice.
Uses.
Yeah, Astro Stacey uses it. I know Roswell Astronomy, he uses it. It's pretty nice. Relatively, you know, 6 steps, and you do a little bit of tweaking, and I do a little bit more tweaking in Photoshop and Lightroom, and then call it a day.
Yeah, I almost never use Photoshop. And in fact, the only reason why I pay $10 a month for Photoshop now is just so I can make the occasional thumbnail. for a YouTube video.
Okay.
Nice.
I should probably learn how to do that in GIMP and just dump
Just
Photoshop.
be done with it. Yeah.
With a subscription.
You know, that's you know, Photoshop. It was definitely at one point the premier processing tool that we had. You know, everyone was coming out with actions and stuff you could download, scripts that people made that dump it into Photoshop, and they're still coming out with stuff. But PixInsight took the processing world by storm, pretty much, and just kept on coming out with more and more stuff for it. And you know, it seems to be pretty good right now. And then like you, I was I'm a customer of Adam's as well, and I got his videos. I also spent 3 days with Ron Brecher.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I spent 3 days with him, about 6 hours, and he actually logged into my computer and showed me some tricks and stuff like that with PixInsight. So it was pretty good. So I still suck at processing, but but I'm learning. You know, it's a work in progress.
Yeah, I'm learning slowly that less is more, but I'm trying to figure out which of the actions or processes within PixInsight I need to do and which ones I don't need to do, because I might take an image, you know, have it all stacked and the pre-processing is done, and I'm not happy with the graininess of the background. Right. Okay. There's like 9 different ways to remove that in PixInsight.
Yes.
So is there a situation where I choose one over the other, or is it really just your preference, or is there a certain combination of them that I'm supposed to use? And like, I'm figuring all of this stuff out just by brute force. Like, I'm literally just throwing myself into it. I put out no images online, so I don't have any examples really to show you guys. And the problem that I'm having is like, I don't find any good like I find resources that tell you what the tools do and how to use the individual tools, but
not when to use them.
Nobody gives you in situation A, use this workflow, these 3 tools in this way. But if you have a different situation where your background isn't all grainy, but you got a lot of light pollution, for example, do that. And I'm actually getting I'm getting really good at removing gradients and light pollution, because I have to. You know, I'm in a class 8 or 9.
Yeah, me too. I'm with you. I get rainbows all the time.
Yeah, and then, on Friday night in the fall, it's a class 14 because of all the football stadiums around me.
Yeah.
In fact, behind me is the Allen Eagles Stadium, about 3 miles up the road. It made national news because it was like a $15 million football stadium for the high schoolers. And then a year later, the foundation started crumbling and they had to close it down because it was unsafe. And so like there was the next year, like it was totally useless. But
God.
when its lights are on, it's like false dawn to the north. Like it's so lit up. I sometimes can't see Polaris if the humidity is bad.
Wow.
It's bad. It is. So most of my imaging is done off here to the east, east. Sorry.
Yeah.
I do not image west because that's the entirety of the north side of the entire Dallas Metroplex for about 70 miles in that direction. It's just city.
That's horrible.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's like me, you know, to the west as well. I got New York City only 30 miles away. And you know, I got a big light dome that takes up probably about 40 degrees to the north all around. It's a big mess.
I got Dallas. I'm at the northern edge of the Dallas suburbs, and then for about 20 miles to the south, it's just white.
Wow.
You know, it's just a white zone. So, but in that direction, there's a lake and nothing. So, yeah, I image to the east. Once get about an hour past the meridian, I stop and go to another target.
You know, as far as the graininess is concerned in the photos, a couple of things that I've saw that kind of helped me out was in the beginning when you're still linear, using multi-scale linear transformation.
Okay.
Try that. There's a lot of settings on it, and there's a lot of YouTube channels on describing MLT. And try that. And towards the end, you could also use TGV denoise a little later on when you're nonlinear.
I've used that one.
Yeah,
That one makes my images look a little waxy, though.
Yeah, and you could try Mur denoise. It's actually under the scripts under rendering, I think. There's another one that one you could use, and there's one other one too. There's so many denoising. There's so many.
Yeah.
It's like a Coke and Pepsi thing. I mean, you got to figure out what works for you. And
right. And I got a feeling Pix Insight's a lot like the SkyX, where the real learning curve is learning what you don't need.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You got to get the book, get the Pix Insight book, and read it as a reference manual. Don't read it as a book. You don't want to read this stuff as a book. You want to read it as you need it. You read it as a book, you're gonna forget it the first chapter, and like if you're done with the second chapter.
I had seen a post from Warren Keller on Facebook, something about so much has changed in Pix Insight since his last version that he's thinking about putting out a new version. So I've been waiting to pull the trigger for the new book if he actually does write one. I don't know if he actually confirmed he was going to do it or not. But if he drops a third edition, that's the one I'm going to buy, because I've learned enough in the IT world that you don't buy a book on one platform when you're using two platforms later, because so much has changed and most of the book is useless. So
pretty much.
When it just shot over to you, Daniel, your background was so much more brighter. It just took me by surprise there for a second. It was I was seeing Eric full screen for a second, and then it flipped over to you. So if anybody's watching, they want to know why the lighting on my face is changing. It's because it's going back and forth between Eric and Daniel full screen. And then so I'm waiting for that new book, but I definitely want to find some more resources on Pix Insight. I want to learn that program because, well, one, I spent a small fortune on it, like we all did. And I'd like to be able to get my money's worth out of it, but all the good photos that people produce from that program leads me to believe that is, and I know that my data is good because I've given my data to people and they've sent me back great image, great results from my data. So it's like, I know I could take good data and I know I can produce bad photos. So it's not the software, it's not my data, it's me. What am I doing wrong? And I just don't think I've had an adequate educational resource on it. I've used some of the tutorials from Light Vortex, which are stupid comprehensive.
They're awesome.
But
they're really good.
But it's missing in situation A, do this step. In situation B, do this step. And if you want to take a photo from right out of post-processing to right before you go and start stretching things and take it non-linear, this is a core 4 steps or 5 steps or however many steps that you want to do in the beginning. And here's some other peripheral steps that you can do depending on the situation. I guess what I'm looking for is a flow chart of such.
Yes.
Yeah, you're looking like an if-then type thing. And there's nothing like that.
I guess that's the programmer in me. That's the programmer in me. I'm looking for a logic branch.
Yeah, and I'm with you with that. I wish I could say, if you have a red gradient, then go here and put this at this level, and it will get rid of some of this for you. There's nothing like that.
I don't need it to be that granular, but hey, if you see gradients, this is the tool. Yeah,
I do.
If you have gradients.
If you want, I'll show you real quick. One of the pictures that I was working with Ron Bretcher, and this was with a lot of his help, but it's my data, and I'll show it to you real quick. Let's see if I can. There you go. And I'll share this with you.
You took that data?
Yep. That's about 26 hours of SHO. And I could never have gotten it like that without his help. So it's just what he was doing and what he was showing me. I was like, oh my God, this is just ridiculous. But
Yeah. And I have a feeling that my data has this potential locked in it.
I'm sure
Because I've seen other
I'm
people
sure it
take my
does.
stuff and they just like they play with it for a few hours and they send it back to me and it looks great.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
and then I play with it for days and it looks like a kid drew it on my wall and I just took a picture of it.
That's it. That's me.
I feel you. I think we're all in the same boat there
Yeah.
because I never got that close to that, and I threw some stuff on. It's called Google Astrometric Upload. It's like a cheap Astro bin, but I threw some of my pictures up there that I did.
Audio. I don't know if it's me or you.
You hear that?
Yeah, I hear that now.
All right. Maybe,
Eric, did you lose him at all?
No, I'm good.
Huh?
Might be on my end.
Maybe.
Can you hear me now?
Hold on. I got a trick.
How's that? No.
Oh no, I just turned my Bluetooth off. I'm gonna turn it back on.
Oh, nice. You good?
All right. Saying it's connected to the computer. Let's see where the microphone is on the software.
Should be on the bottom left. He can't hear me though, I don't think.
It's not working with the Bluetooth, so we'll just take that off.
We can hear you. So
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, I shut the Bluetooth off, so it's all going through the laptop now. So I don't know if the
Gotcha.
audio is
it got
good.
a little louder, but it's okay.
Yeah.
Chris said AC another noise reduction, ACDNR. I forgot about that one. There's another one for Pix Insight.
Which that is the toolbox of noise reduction.
Yeah, there's so much stuff with noise reduction on Pix Insight. It's crazy. And Chris is also making fun of you, saying you're a programmer. If then go to blah blah blah. But so are you working on anything in particular now with imaging? Now that it's summertime, more or less.
Wanted to do galaxies, and as soon as I got my galaxy scope, the moon came out.
Yeah.
Hi, moon.
There you go. Shoot that thing. Oh, wait, hold on. And there it is. There's a
Astrophotography right there.
Yep, there it is.
Who says
Galaxy
you can't do astrophotography with a webcam?
Galaxy made light pollution.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a pretty much 100% or 99 or 100% full now. So
yeah, it's up there.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's more than enough to ruin a night of imaging.
It is.
Yeah, you're not going to get anything done.
No.
And so there's about a week shot.
Oh, that's why in all fairness, that's why I started doing a lot of narrowband.
Yeah.
And it just got so frustrating that all the good nights the moons was out. And I didn't want to travel anywhere with the moon.
Right.
So I picked up the 3 set. I picked up from Optolong. I picked up H alpha 03 and S2 6.5 and a 7 nanometer H alpha, and that's what is shot with that hard nebula that I shared. That's what it is. It's Optolong. So I mean, no, you're not. The only thing narrowband right now is if you want to kind of play around with some galaxies and see if you get some H alpha to add in, but there's nothing for narrowband right now. You got to wait till probably September, October again.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. I'll be able to do the Veil Nebula.
Oh yeah, you can. I don't know if I can. It might be too low for me.
No, it goes almost straight on right here.
Right now, no, Veil Nebula is not. Well, maybe.
Yeah. And then you've got, and Tara was saying, you got the, or Steve was saying the Owl Nebula. You got that. So, but
Which one?
The Owl.
Yeah, the Owl. You could get, what is that? 108 also probably in the same field.
Yeah.
Yeah, 97 and 108, I think, right? Yeah.
So there's a handful. There's a handful.
Yeah, there's definitely more in the wintertime.
Yeah, but there's always more in the wintertime. But I mean, yeah, you got more RGB right now. I mean, what else? Eagle comes out in the summer.
Yeah, 16. Yeah.
16. That comes out in the summer. So
you get the Pillars of Creation.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah.
That might be
And,
nice to try with the Richie Crichton, but I don't know if it clears my house.
Okay.
I've got a 2-story house, and I'm kind of close to it, so I don't know
Yeah.
where I'm at. It kind of clears it.
And, yeah, and isn't what's that? Isn't Omega? Omega's out there too, but I think it's probably a little bit lower.
Omega's
to say that-
really, it's really low
Yeah.
in Dallas.
Yeah.
I've seen it actually in Oklahoma, briefly, and so I used to be a member of the Texas Astronomical Society, and they've got a dark site about 2 hours north of Dallas.
Okay.
And you won't be able to see Omega Centauri from there for very much longer, because the way you see it now is there's a specific spot in the field that if you stand and you look between this gap in the trees, you see it pass in that gap. And if those trees fill in the next few years, you're not going to be
You're
able
not
to
going to
see
see
it
it.
anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw it there. But the Omega Centauri, the Pillars of Creation, like those targets, those might actually be. So you guys know who Tom Pickett is, right?
Yep.
He doesn't live that far from me, and he's
Right.
invited me to his new place to come out there and image with him for a night or so, and just meet finally in person, because we've been talking online for years. And so those might be summertime targets that if I ever get a chance to actually go down to his place for a night or two, I'll probably just sleep in the back of my car, because he has cats and I'm deathly allergic to cats. It's the only animal on the planet that if you put it in the same room as me, I'll die. They will send me into anaphylactic shock. That's no joke.
Wow.
But he's got a couple of cats out there that I'll just sleep in the car, which is no big deal. I mean, I camp at Star Parties when I go to like El Dorado Star Party.
Uh-huh.
When I would go up to the dark site in Oklahoma, I just camp. When I went to my dad's hunting cabin up in northern Nebraska, I slept in the back of my SUV. It's no big deal for me. Just let the software run the stuff all night and just catch up with him. And but he lives in, I think, Bortle 3 skies.
Okay.
Wow.
So Eagle Nebula with an RC, if I can get a good focal reducer, the astrophysics focal reducer is supposed to be really good.
Okay.
That'll drop this down to f5.7, and that'll be about 1,000 millimeters.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet I could do 5 minutes unguided at 1,000 millimeters. That shouldn't be hard. 10 minutes would be tough. 10 minutes with this but 10 minutes at 1,000 would be tough, because this is 735. So what's another 270 or 65 millimeters?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just I have the Z126, the William Optics doublet, and I just bought the flat 7A, and which is the 8X, the 0.8 reducer flattener, and it's nice. It gets it down, because I'm usually at about 980, and it gets it down to about 790 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's pretty nice. But yeah, I think I'm gonna put back on the because I do want to go after the Eagle right now. So yeah, I think I'm gonna put the flattener back on, just the standard flattener, and get it back up to that 980 range.
Will that flattener handle your chromatic aberration?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and then I'm going to be using that with because I'm not used. I have a 1600, but I haven't really used it yet. So I have a 294 ASI 294. So I'm just gonna, and like you say, with the way the summers are, with nights being so short, why waste that time, swapping out filters. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put on an L Pro to the Optilong L Pro onto that 294 and just go for it.
Yeah.
And see how. And actually, I'll probably no, not the L Pro, the L Enhanced.
The L Enhanced. Yeah.
Not the L Pro, the L Enhanced, and just go and see how it comes out.
All right. Oh my God! I gotta get this off the floor here. My would-be telescope is still on the floor for 2 weeks.
That's where my RC is right now.
Whenever I get some, some clear skies here in Illinois, I mean, it's clear night skies, then maybe I'll go for it because I finally got that CGX acting right.
Yeah, finally, right?
Yeah, right.
No, this has got to make its appearance once a week. It just is like my paperweight. Right now, so
Your paperweight.
It's got to make an appearance. I mean, I got to get this. I got to get this first light, but now I don't have a mount really. I mean, I guess I can put it on I got the AZ GTI sitting up there, so I guess I could throw it on that.
Yeah.
And just play around, but I don't know what I'm gonna do. We'll figure it out. Right now, I'm just gonna play around with it and see what we got.
Okay.
It was Chris. Chris is waiting for the Eagle right now. It's really low in the sky. The unfortunate place for if I'm doing any imaging from my house, the south, my house is right in front of the south.
Yeah.
So I mean, it does nothing clears that. I mean, for me, I could just barely see the top of Scorpius, barely. That's it though. I mean, if I'd have to go narrow band from front of my house right underneath the street light. So, yeah, exactly. So that's not going to happen. Chris said 600 flattener and a better performer. I don't know what he's talking about. Another
Not
flattener.
sure. Oh, the 7A. Yeah, the 7A.
Oh, is that what he's doing?
Yeah,
okay, yeah, shift. Okay,
yeah.
7A.
7A it is a really good. It's a really good reducer.
Yeah, I had the 6A2, 6A3.
Okay.
On my 127, and the adjustable flattener on that is awesome. I was able to get that. I was able to get my curvature down to I think 11%.
Okay.
And my tilt down to 19%.
Nice.
So I mean, and I was starting off with literally it was like 40 or 50% tilt. So I mean, it really knocked it down quite a bit. So that was nice.
Yeah. Because with my William Optics GT71 I bought when I got that. I got that with the 6A2.
Okay.
Okay. And you can they say you can actually use it with the Z126, but you have to get this nose diagonal piece to put in front of it. But when I got my 126, it came with the 3.3-inch focuser.
Okay.
It was like an M93. So if I try to put that thing in there, I have to play with it, and and you have to adjust it, and I'm constantly tilting with that thing. So instead of dealing with that, that's when I went ahead and just pulled the trigger on the 7A.
Yeah.
Because it has an M93. Because it's an M93, so you could just screw it into the optical tube, and then you're good. Then I'm good to go. But yeah, that 6A2 is pretty much now. It's just for the GT71.
It's nice when you can get everything from one distributor that makes everything work.
It does. It is. Because
that's an entire Williams Optics.
Yeah, because I'm a Williams Optics nut. So for me, I've got 3 Williams Optics. I've got the white cat 51 millimeter. I've got the 71, and I've got the 126.
Well, you got a nice spread, so
I've got a nice spread for I'm one of those new guys that says, you know what, this is really nice. I'm gonna go grab this one too.
Yeah,
I'm one of those guys as well, but my wife is the opposite, so she's the one who says no.
Yeah.
I hear you, Alan. I hear you.
And I gotta appreciate it, because if it weren't for her, I would be way in debt right now.
Yeah.
I hear that as well.
Yep.
Chris wants to know, why doesn't Alan post his images? Is there a copyright issue?
Oh, it's a good question. No, and this has come up a lot. I've had people ask me on my YouTube channel, Facebook groups and stuff like that, why don't I put them online? And it is two big reasons. I mean, there's several smaller ones, but the first big reason is I personally, despite what everybody else says about my astrophotography, I don't think it's good enough.
I feel you.
The second one is, while I wish my stuff was good enough that people would want to steal my images and then post it on their Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that and pass it off as their own, I hate that they do that to other astrophotographers. So by me putting my stuff out there, I'm just contributing material that enables the people that try to steal other astrophotographers' work and pass it off as their own. I feel like I'm an enabler by doing that. If anybody wants to see what I'm doing, I put partially finished stuff out there, like my YouTube channel. I'm starting to get to do the stuff that like Trevor Jones, Astrostace, Rosine from Astrofarsography do, where they show a little bit of what they've done throughout the night, and then at the end they do a reveal of the image that they worked on. And those aren't going to be final. I don't think my stuff will ever make it to final. I'm always going to be tweaking it and tuning it, right? But those are going to be the 80% done. Like it's good enough that I can put it out there and not feel like it's complete garbage. And it's again, my post-processing skills I know that they're lacking, because I can see that my data becomes a good photo when someone else who knows what they're doing.
I know you. I feel you. I know exactly the feeling, because there's no way I would have come up with that Heart Nebula photo without help. No way.
I don't know that I could do it with help.
No, I'm sure you could. A
lot of help, maybe.
Hey, it's just a matter of degree.
And me, I am truly my biggest critic, and I'm still learning so much, even because I've only been doing this for a couple of years. So I'm still trying to perfect, dealing with long focal length telescopes and exposure times and stuff like that, because I was so used to using that short focal length, GT71, and then I also have the RASA 8, having those such much shorter focal lengths, knocking out images and projects within the day, within just that night, because they're so fast. I can do 2-minute, 3-minute nights and then call it good. But I have to keep training myself. I can't do that like with any long focal length type of telescope. It's going to take me, longer. And I have to get into that mentality, because I just kicked out an image of M51. Just as it was just something I was playing around with, and I kicked it out because I was working on my CGX. And those were, I think those were 3-minute. And I know with, a long focal length telescope, I should have probably been doing 5-minute and even more exposures. I probably only got 40 exposures. I probably should have done, double that or something. So
that's always been my biggest enemy. And I would say about 2 years ago, I kind of had that moment where it clicked, and it's not the number of subs that you throw at something to make a good photo. It's your total integration time. It's not, I took 100 photos of something for, 1 minute each. Why don't I have a good photo? It's because you have 100 minutes of integration time. If you took 25-minute photos, you still have 100 minutes, but you might get a better photo because each sub exposure has a better signal to noise ratio. So it's the quality of the subs that you need. And that's when I really started like becoming really keen on, can I do 5 and 10 minutes unguided? Because 2 minutes, it's not enough time. You could throw 500 subs at the project, get 1,000 minutes worth of integration time. Sure, maybe that would look okay, but why spend 1,000 minutes gathering 2-minute sub exposures when you can do probably better with fewer subs, as long as if the subs were longer. So no, I think you're right on the money when you said, I should be spending more time with a longer focal length. It's absolutely true. You definitely want to invest enough time per sub exposure that the unstretched histogram is standing off of that left edge a little bit. And I don't know how much it should be. I know that Chuck on Chuck's Astrophotography, he looks for like a total ADU on the the average ADU.
Yeah, when he's looking at SGP, he's looking at ADU and stuff. Yeah.
And he's got, if he's going to do a 4-minute exposure, he's got a particular ADU he looks at. If he's going to do a 3-minute, there's a different ADU value he's looking at, And so that's how he's determining which exposure length he's going for. He doesn't say, well, I'm going to do a 4-minute sub exposure.
Right.
How long do I have to expose to get this target ADU that I know I want? So what I have yet to determine for myself is what ADU do I want to chase after? Because, Chuck has different sky conditions than I do. So that's playing a factor in the ADU that he's going after. He's got most of that ADU is being contributed by light pollution. So if I went after, say, 800 ADU like he does, I'm making that up, but let's say he's going after 800 and I'm going after it. His 800 might actually be more light pollution than me. And so his subs are 4 minutes. Well, for me to get to 800 ADU, I might have to go to 6 minutes. Right. And so chasing those ADU numbers, I think, is what he's doing to determine his exposure length. And so I think that's the one thing that I don't think he's ever come straight out in any of his videos. If he has, I mean, he's put out probably 200 or 300 videos by now, and I've seen half of them. But I don't think he's ever come out straight out and said, when I'm doing narrowband, I want this ADU value in Sequence Generator Pro. And so I know it takes X number of minutes to get there because of my sky conditions. And maybe he doesn't do those videos because he knows that's his backyard.
Right. Yeah. It's not good for everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. You go down the street to someone else's house and it's going to be totally different because maybe they've got floodlights all around them like I do. I've got Christmas lights, floodlights, and Christmas lights, floodlights, floodlights.
And Dallas.
You're in Dallas, all the football stadiums.
And then floodlight, big
floodlight.
So, it's one of those things that I think as an astrophotographer, there is no magic setting, right? You have to do the homework. You have to spend the time and put in the hours at the computer under the stars, what works, what doesn't, and make notes, keep a log. I've got a spreadsheet. It's not filled in very much, but I've got a spreadsheet where I kind of track this stuff. And because I know the next time I might be able to get out and do that target again is going to be a year. I'm going to forget everything, right? So I make these little notes like this worked, this didn't, this was the exposure that I was using, these were the ADU values. And then if the result wasn't what I wanted, then I know that those values don't work. So when I revisit it the next year, don't do that.
Right.
Do something different. But it's a marathon. It's a slow game.
Because with me, I'm using the ASI Air and a histogram, I think, because using the 294 is a 14-bit camera. And I believe with the ASI Air, it upscales everything to 16-bit. So it's kind of sometimes hard to figure out, to translate that 14-bit into that upscale to the 16-bit with a histogram and, and get that sweet spot of the ADU. Because I was, when I was imaging M51, and those were, I think 3-minute exposures or something like that. My median ADU, it was saying, was about 2780 or something like that.
Okay.
But it's like, is that the right, is that for me, is that the right ADU? Is looking at the, the 294, am I, right there? Am I meeting what I need? And it's just like, darn it, this, it's one of those things, this isn't it. So it's like, all right, chalk it up to experience, got to go longer. So
yeah, actually, a friend of mine came out with a spreadsheet he gave me for my specific camera on what kind of ADU that you're looking for in order to swamp out the read noise that you got going on in there. So, and supposedly that's where you kind of want to be. So you have enough signal to get rid of the noise.
Yeah.
So he actually this guy like dreams about spreadsheets. I swear that's all he does is spreadsheets. And he figured out a way, and he made a spreadsheet, and it just says, okay, you know what? Here's your re-noise, here's your chip size, here's all your stats for your camera. He dumped all that in there and said, okay, you know, at your magnitude brightness scale,
yeah,
where do you want to be? And he has a whole list of exposure times. 1 minute, I think at 30, 60, 90, 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, and it'll say, okay, and it'll populate all these ADU numbers with whatever formula he threw in there. But he said it took him 2 days to figure it out.
That's why I'm going to probably go back and hook up the camera to SharpCap.
Yeah.
Again.
The assistant.
Yeah, so I can do the brain again and do that smart histogram.
Yep.
You know, so I can figure this out, because one thing is I've done the smart histogram, and then I have to remember, wait a minute, I did this smart histogram when I was using the Rasa. That was at 400 millimeter. I can't do that with, you know, the 126. I've got to do it again, you know, and it's gonna, because I know it's gonna kick out a different number. So
do you have to do that smart histo each target, or is that like you just do it once for that optic?
Yeah, it's basically, you can do it. It's for that optic and that filter.
Okay.
Yeah. So you do it for that one optic and that filter, and then it'll give you that information for each of those. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna have to do. Is I'm gonna have to hook up my laptop again, because with using the ASI Air, no need for the laptop. So now, so I'll go ahead and hook that back up and run it again and see what type of readings I get this time. You know, so it's all a learning thing. It's always learning. And that's one thing I love about this stuff too, is, you know, it keeps my brain going.
Yeah, it definitely does. The way technology changes and the rapidity that it does so, it's just, you got to be on a constant, you know, path of knowledge for everything, whether that's image acquisition or processing or whatever.
And I think that's probably why I'm learning so much and trying to figure so much out just by acquisition. That's why I don't think I can, you know, nail down pics in sight.
Well, you know, it all starts with good data, man.
It does.
You can't make a good picture out of crappy data.
That's it.
You can't. It's not going to happen. If you add a focus, I don't care how much you sharpen it, it's still going to look like crap.
Yep.
But you gotta, let's see. Steve wants to know if there are any comparable as ASI 1600M you would suggest. He's thinking about taking the leap into narrowband.
What do you mean by comparable?
Yeah, I don't know what that means, but I thought he was going
16. I mean, for me, at least from what I understand, when you're talking CMOS and everything and getting into this type of stuff, everything I've seen is like 1600 has been the workhorse for so many people.
Yep.
You know, it's been the more common camera, the go-to camera. You know, I'm not saying it's set the gold standard, but it's the more common camera that people use. It's more reasonably priced. You know.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I haven't taken the dive into CMOS yet. I still got my CCD back.
Yeah, you got CCD there. So
I got CMOS all over the place, but they're all for guide cameras and planetary and, you know, all this other stuff. But my main camera is the STF 8300.
Yeah.
So I mean that's my main camera. So I mean that's what I use. And I don't know. Gain, offset, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
so.
Because, you don't have to deal with that stuff. It's already all locked into the camera, so you're good.
Yeah.
But if you're going to go into narrowband, I mean, just go ahead and get go for it.
Yeah, get that 1600, get that nice chip, and then just take the plunge, get the filters, and just run with it. And
just run with it.
What you get.
Yeah.
Chris said he understands you being your own biggest critic. I have only about 4 images that I'm really proud of. I still see flaws instantly.
Tell me.
I heard of 1/3 of peaks of the histogram is what you want as far as an unstretched histogram.
Yeah, I'm trying to still figure that part out.
Yeah.
That's for flats.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
I thought that
flats is, I thought flats were like closer to a half, I thought.
Uh,
Well, it really depends on your camera and your image train.
yeah, with my 1600, I've found that the flats actually work best at like 20%,
Okay.
15 to 20%.
Okay.
And I painstakingly figured that out. Like I spent I don't know, 4 or 5 nights literally just took one set of images, but then a bunch of different flats at all these different brightness levels, because I've got a Alnitak flip flat,
Okay.
and so I just dialed it in. But like I was really discreet about all the different, like I had like I think a library of 10 different master flats, and applied them to that stack of images that I had captured one night to see which one corrected best. I think about somewhere around 15 or 20% was the one that was optimal for my camera.
Okay.
And I've also noticed that with that flip flat, it doesn't do temperature swings very well. It'll have different brightnesses at different temperatures, even if you set it like be 50% bright.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a different value, 80 degrees versus 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
Sure.
So that's my huge criticism with that. I think now that I've got the observatory, I might hang something on the wall back here.
There you go.
So when it parks, I just point it at the wall.
Yeah.
Turn it on and be like, all right, take your flats.
Yep. That's the way you do it. That's the way you do it, man.
So
Jason, back to the cables. Cable matters. Those cables are foil and braided, copper shielded. So I guess I don't know if that's dual shielded. I would guess so.
Oh, for those USB cables?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Copper shielded and foil shielded. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Probably a copper mesh over a foil. It sounds like it's done the same way that coaxial cable is shielded.
It's braided. Steve Flanagan, like he used 8300 or a 1600. Well, if you want, I could always say good things about the 8300 because that's what I have. The KAF is a CCD chip, and it's the most mass-produced CCD chip that's been out for years.
I've owned both. I sold the 8300 for a 1600. If that says anything.
I've never used a CMOS, so I couldn't tell you the difference. But I from what I hear, I don't know the truth of it. That CCD is a little bit cleaner.
Mm-hmm.
CMOS has a little less noise. CMOS, depending on what you get, has a lot of amp glow. CCD a little bit less. So it's a Coke and Pepsi thing.
Yeah.
So
my subs coming off the 1600 look cleaner than they did coming off of my 8300.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But my 8300 was like 10 years old when I bought it used.
Yeah, mine's only 3. So.
Yeah. So
there you go.
Same chip though, so I mean, I don't think the chip has changed in 10 years, to be honest.
No, but mine
but the technology around
for
it.
10 years.
Yeah.
So.
Have you settled on a gain for the 1600 on RGB?
Not yet. I just shoot at unity gain. I mean, I haven't gone in to try to figure out what I want to do for my own like custom game and offsets.
Mm-hmm.
So I just go right into the in Sequence Generator Pro. I just tell it use unity gain, and
okay.
I mean it's so it's a 14-bit camera, I think.
Yeah.
And so unity gain means for each unit, each electron unit that it registers on chip turns into a binary 1 in the file it produces. Okay, that's what unity gain means. It's a 1-to-1 scaling. If you increase your gain, you're compressing that dynamic range. So now 1 electron that registers on the chip becomes 2 binary bits in that file. Well, it's still a 14-bit file, so you lose 50% of your dynamic range in storing that data. And if you change the gain even higher, you're compressing that down a little bit more. So what you're doing is you're turning a 14-bit chip into an 8-bit file, stretched out again to a 14-bit file. Like you're compressing that data. But the benefit to that though is each photon counts more, but the noise that your chip might be generating counts more too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why you would change your gain to anything. The other thing you could do is lower it so that each electron that it registers on the chip becomes half a binary value. So now you need 2 electrons to get a full binary bit. Now you're like turning a 14-bit chip into a 28-bit file.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you would do that. There's probably a very valid reason for it, but I can't think of what it would be. So it's why mess with your dynamic range? Why cripple your dynamic range intentionally? Shoot Unity gain.
Yeah.
It's easy. It's going to get you it's going to get you the closest representation of the data captured by the sensor in the file.
Okay. Chris said he uses 100 gain to get a deeper well.
So he's shooting less than Unity gain then. It's the only way that you could get a deeper well.
Yeah. Huh. All right. Time. It's almost 11. It's 11:30 already. Jeez.
Oh crap! It's almost my bedtime.
Yeah.
It is my bedtime.
It is.
I think. So what is it? 10:30 by you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I'm
so
up at 5 a.m. for work.
Oh well. Then I'm gonna say we call it a night then, because
this was a great show.
yeah, really good. I appreciate you coming on, Alan. Thank you so much for showing us your stuff and letting us come into your observatory and taking a look at what you got going on.
No, I'm just glad we finally did it. We've been talking about it, like you said, for 2 years.
Something like that. And it never happened. Finally, I said the hell with it. I bought, like I said, I bought a computer to do the streaming, and now I could do it in my house. And I got well, in all fairness, my computer's not working right now. So right now it's just a $2,000 paperweight, another one. But so but I'll figure out the software issue. But that's never happened to me. It gave me this random error. I may just have to reinstall it, whatever, because it's not strictly legal anyway. So that being, that's it. Thanks for answering. Steve Flanagan said, thanks for answering my question, guys. Have a great night. Great show. Tarek said, I really like this show. It's a little bit more technical than before, maybe, but a good show overall. Tarek says, good night, all.
Good night.
And Daniel Johnson says, thanks. Chris says, thanks. Thank you, Alan, for coming on. So for you guys that don't know, go take a look at Alan's YouTube page. Take a look. Is it under Alan Mitchell?
Yeah, if you just go to YouTube and search my name, then usually the top search result depends on if you're a gamer, because I think there's an Alan Mitchell who's also a gamer. So if you watch gaming streams, that guy will be recommended for you. Otherwise, I'm usually the top search result for my name.
Yeah, I used to be the top search result for AstroWorld until somebody came out with some song and dumped me down right to the bottom of the list, and you can't even find me now at this point, because some guy, some steel guy, I don't know, whatever, came out with a song called AstroWorld, and now I switched it to AstroWorld TV. So hopefully I'll climb back up. But yeah, definitely go check out stuff if you need help with like any of the cable management stuff. He's got a really, really, really good set of videos. I watched them, I used them, and it's the reason why I bought this guy. So thank you for coming out with those videos. That's definitely helps a lot of people, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, that being said, it's 11:33 Eastern time, and it's time for me either to get another Long Island iced tea or go to bed.
That's why you were so calm throughout all of this.
Usually I have coffee, but it's do you buy a scope? No, I did not buy a scope. Oh, Chris wants to know what I bought. He missed it. What do you got? You got power drinks?
Yeah, Powerade, a 32-ounce bottle of water, both empty. They were full when I came out here.
Nice. Chris, no, I did not buy a scope, Chris. I bought a EQ6R Pro mount. It's
went for the mount instead.
Yeah, my scope's fine. I just got to figure out the wires a little bit better. but all right. Well, So next week, I don't know who, I think TJ Conley might be on.
Nice.
So I think I'm gonna get him to come on. Bill Brown says goodnight. Bill's from England, I believe.
It's almost morning there.
Yeah, it's 5. Let's see, it's 5 hours different, so it's 4:34 where he is.
Yeah.
I didn't see Tim Cowell's been like incognito for like 3 weeks now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, where's Tim? You know, it's
Yeah,
like,
he's been like going to bed early. I guess he doesn't want to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning anymore.
Is he doing like the extreme social distancing and isolation, like no online contact either?
No, I texted him today, so he's still texting.
Okay.
But he definitely I know he wasn't feeling well a couple of weeks ago, non-COVID related, but he just wasn't feeling well. And he just said, you know what, I'm going to go to bed until I feel better. I said, okay, do what you got. We got me, we got Eric, we got whoever else comes on, we'll be fine. But and I think that's about it. I'm losing words now because I'm going to pass out. So again, thank you guys. Please go to Alan's page, subscribe to him, subscribe to AstroWorld and AstroWorld TV, and don't forget the Backyard Astro Imaging Club. And that raffle's coming up in, I think, 3 days. I think this Saturday, the Backyard Astro Imaging Club's raffle for either the quad band, the tri band, the filter changer. So it's $1 to get in. And Tim will ship it right to your house.
there you go.
So again, Alan, thank you so much. And I guess Eric, you got anything else? Because I'm ready to go to bed.
No, man. You guys, it was a great show. Thank you all. And have a great night.
Yeah, all right. So, all right, and Alan's closing up shop because the clouds are rolling in. And we'll see you guys next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll see who's going to be on next.
All right.
And have a good night, guys. Be safe.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care now.
All right. Bye-bye.